You know, now that I've come back to this game, like, well, just to watch it and look at it, I'm starting to wish I had a better PC and one that doesn't have an AMD CPU so that I could have actually recorded this game on the PC with the texture mods because it looks glorious with those mods.
You went on a Twitter binge at one point, if I remember correctly, just going on and on about how the texture mods make the game look gorgeous. Or was that another game I was thinking of?
Oh,
Was
it
that
was
an
this
Elder Scrolls
game.
game?
Although I might have done it for another game too.
Garrus?
Garrus, what are you doing down there?
Commander Shepard, you sure are tall.
I'm afraid of heights.
Garrett, this is like 3 feet off the ground.
Mommy.
I should mention that that I recorded this game yeah, and he popped back in. I recorded this game in a half-hour bursts where I actually loaded my save file at the beginning of most parts. So that was where Garrus ended up when I loaded my save file there.
Luckily, your partners don't get locked off behind everything. They could just spawn right next to you later.
Why are you so interested in
Now, for the sake of efficiency, you really want to do this quest the first time you're here, because the basic objective is to find all the keepers, the spider bug robot things that are around the place. There are 21 of them. You gotta find all 21 and click them, and you get money.
Gold Skulltulas. Oh, man.
No. No, they're just in this one area, and they're not nearly as cryptic to find. In fact, the only one that'll probably trip you up will only trip you up because it's bugged. It sometimes won't appear.
Don't you mean arachnided?
No.
Da 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 da.
No. They have 6 legs, so yeah.
I can
Oh.
help you out. I'm not worried.
They ain't arachnids.
My name's
But
Shepard.
yeah, anyway, this is Corbin, and you can complete his quests before you get to a certain side story that's attached to this, and I recommend you do that for the added money, because if you do that side quest and decide that what he's doing isn't right,
I'll even send a few
then you're locked out of doing the
What
scans.
are you doing with the data
And,
once you've scanned it?
Yeah, you won't get all that extra money, so, you know, a bit of a
Everywhere, you
bit of
know,
a
it's
Mass
different
Effect
stuff.
life hack there, do the
On some
scans
list,
before you do the other
I wanna
stuff.
know what makes them tick.
But that's only if you decide not to go along with him. I
Yes,
always
I have
decide
my
to go
choice
along with
myself.
him because
So
he's
long.
probably the only smart Solarian on this goddamn space station.
So is what he's trying to do not cool in any specific way, or
No, he's trying to scan the Keepers to gather data about them because he's developed a new kind of scanning device that can scan them without causing them to self-destruct, which is what they'll do if anyone tries to tamper with them. Because they self-destruct when you tamper with them, over the centuries, the government in place has decided that, okay, we're not going to risk blowing up the maintenance crew for the space station we have our central government in. Let's just pass a law that says nobody can disturb the Keepers at all.
Just let them do what they do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even if we don't know exactly what it is they do.
So is helping him technically a renegade option then? Because you're breaking the law, breaking the law.
There's no morality point gain attached to it in the first place, actually. And this is Rear Admiral Kahoku, who kicks off the Cerberus side quest line. I am not going to be doing most of the Cerberus side quest line. In fact, this is the only one that I'm actually going to be doing, because the side quests in this game all sort of bleed together into a mash of monotony after a while, and I really can't be bothered to deal with it.
Nothing new.
Cerberus becomes very important in 2 and onwards, though.
Yeah, Cerberus is basically one of the central plot lines in the latter 2 games, but they sort of get retconned into their later story role, because their origin, as it's stated in this game, doesn't really mesh with what they are in later
I'll find them,
games.
Admiral.
No.
Well, we'll get to that when they're actually on screen. We're not going to see them for a while. I'm just picking up side quests before I leave the station.
So you can't start a side quest. This isn't the kind of game. Well, this isn't the kind of side quest, I should say, that you can accidentally start without knowing that it's there. Then I'm guessing.
Actually, all of the side quests in this game are side quests that you can accidentally start by stumbling onto the planets where they happen. The times when you can talk to someone and pick up the quest from them in the Citadel or some other location except for the ones that happen in the main plot areas. Those are just directions to give you a reason to go to certain planetary systems on the galaxy map, really. If you're the kind of person who doesn't want to go and just comb the entire galaxy for little bits and bobs to get... Which, you know, it's a design element that I appreciate, because actually one by one checking every single planet is kind of a really video gamey thing to do, and sometimes, you know, you're just in the mood to actually act the way your character in the game would act, and sometimes that involves not exploring every nook and cranny of the place. You know what I'm saying? So they give you a second way to find that stuff.
Okay, that makes sense. It's just, you could see that guy's eyes through his eyelids.
The eyelid animations in Mass Effect 1 are gloriously awful.
But it's, just, oh god, this is very distracting.
What's wrong with your face?
Oh, man.
2007 was a better time. Kinda.
Crossing the traverse a few days ago when it disappeared. Just dropped right off the grid. And that usually means one of two things. They had massive mechanical
I like the
or they were attacked.
I like the garden area here, but the more I look at it, the more the rocks start to look like prefab cover objects, like something that you can't unsee as you look at an image with a hidden image inside the image.
Oh, like the rabbit duck?
The trees behind you look like they're made of aluminum foil.
Oh yeah. Early Xbox, like we said, although I'm not going to praise Mass Effect for its graphics by any means. The character designs are nice, the animations are pretty wooden, but the environments, and, well, I really didn't start paying attention to this until Gaming Brit mentioned it in his Deus Ex videos, but the environments are really stock and generic considering how contained they are. It's actually kind of impressive in its way. Usually when you have big games with small contained areas to explore, those contained areas make up for their lack of vastness with more intimate
for every
detail.
2 to 3 natural elements you see, it could be a fountain, trees. There's like 80% of sterile scientific enterprise halls.
Well, that's a thing too, but that's not necessarily what I'm talking about. Like, you can have an artificial human man-made environment and still throw in a lot of unique details here and there, because you know, in one room that's full of a bunch of files scattered across a desk, for example, the stuff on that one desk is not going to be the same as the stuff on the other desk across the hall. Details like that, and, you know, a game like Deus Ex Human Revolution or Mankind Divided gets those details down. A game like the Yakuza series gets those details down, for the most part anyway. And Mass Effect, no, you actually stop to smell the roses and you start to notice how many of those little details just either aren't there or are the exact same little details you saw in another room in the same building, or in another building, or in every building. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about.
It does have the problem where it doesn't look like people live here, really.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That kind of thing.
It would help if these people looked like they were actually alive.
So it needs more shit on the floor.
Like, especially when you go to, like, all the extra planets, bases and stuff, and they all look exactly the same with no furniture anywhere or anything.
Okay, people ragged on Dragon Age 2 for reusing the same house and cave all the time, and that was a seriously legitimate problem there, especially in the case of the cave, where it was the same natural rock formation in every single place you went, which is extremely jarring. But in Mass Effect 1, it's like environment recycling taken to a whole new level, because every side quest has one of the same 3 buildings. Every single fucking one. Unless it doesn't take place in a building at all. In which case, well, it's just sort of a pixelated wasteland of bad planet textures, really, because they weren't designed to look nice when you were outside of your vehicle.
No Man's Sky.
areas where preaching is legal.
Oh shit, John, no. No, John, don't.
Results in the forfeiture of the license.
That's Ted Weeson, P.O. Box.
No,
37.
fuck you.
Okay, you know what? I have exposed myself to a fair bit of what No Man's Sky does, and No Man's Sky does the planetary exploration thing way better than this game. Infinitely better.
Then again, when people are talking about Mass Effect, the one thing I hear people complain about the most is the moon buggy. So
Yeah. Well, we'll see plenty of that, but it's got a lot of problems, and you know, this is probably going to be a dated statement by the time this video comes out, because the game will have been released by then, most likely. But Andromeda is bringing back the moon buggy, and I could not be more excited, because modern technology, modern vehicle physics standards, and modern standards on how to handle an open-world sandbox environment mean that the moon buggy will probably actually be good this time. And I've been waiting for them to take another swing at that since Mass Effect 1.
And the moon buggy's tipped over off of a 3-inch rock.
That you say that as a joke, but it happens all the fucking time in this game.
Yeah, who said it was a joke?
Anyway, yeah, this is actually a fairly entertaining one of those little cheapy conversation side quests, because you're actually dealing with a religious fanatic trying to preach in a place where he shouldn't be preaching legally. And basically, well, the obvious nice thing to do that's completely unbiased is to just tell the guy that he should represent his people better by actually getting the permit he's supposed to get.
Hannah, this is an A&A meeting.
But, yeah. If you want to be an asshole, all you have to do is give the cop next to him a little pep talk in the direction of actually arresting the Hanar.
Yeah.
Because this police officer is probably nicer than any police officer that you'll ever meet in the real world. And I mean that in spite of the fact that he's talking like a grumpy asshole the whole time you're talking to him. Because he doesn't want to arrest the guy.
Do your job! Bust that jellyfish!
No, he's too nice. He doesn't want to arrest the guy. He doesn't say it. There's nothing in his dialogue that says it. It's just kind of an understated aspect of why he hasn't done it yet.
Thing? Where do I put the handcuffs at?
You just stuff him in a jar.
Racist much? His ancestors were stuffed into jars. Dude, have you no respect?
Actually, Hanar can be deceptively good fighters, something that Zaid in Mass Effect 2 will tell you if you stop by his room once in a while.
But we'll never see in any of these games.
Yeah, you never see it.
Executor Palin, oh man, 2008 election.
Executor
alternate.
Palin. This guy, okay, he's like the leader of, he's basically Commissioner Gordon here. And I don't mean in the metaphorical sense that Anderson is. He's basically Commissioner Gordon on the Citadel. But he gets off-screen killed between Mass Effects 2 and 3, and I have no idea why they decided to do that.
Got one hell of a title jump, though. Commissioner Executioner.
I don't know if it's from one of the between-game comics or whatever, but he's just gone. Dead and gone in Mass Effect 3, and Captain Bailey from Mass Effect 2 takes his place. And Bailey says he had to kill him because Executor Palin was doing something bad. By the way, there should be a keeper here. It's not here.
Oh man, I hate it when things just disappear.
Yeah, it's not supposed to do that, so you actually have to save your game and reload it so that the keeper reappears.
Do you only have 15 save slots? I say only 15 in a constant sarcastic.
Yeah, 15 is your maximum number of save slots. Unless you're keeping multiple saves like I am for the purposes of this playthrough, you will never run out. Oh, I should say, that is 15 per character. Not 15 maximum, but 15 per character.
Yeah.
And of course, as much as your hard drive will hold.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Like,
I think like if you're playing the PC version, you can do some settings file fuckery to increase the maximum number too. So, I've been saying fuckery a lot over these last couple of parts. What is with me?
You have a bad day, Lewis.
We're here for you, man.
They can't fuckery with you anymore.
Words cannot express how tedious it is to do the Keeper mission all at once. By the way. Like, they are literally in every corner of this goddamn city area.
I should have edited it as the 80s montage.
Yeah, and there was at least one in every possible subsection of the Citadel. So
you high-fiving the last keeper that you scanned, and then it blows up.
the Keepers are plot important, by the way, so this mission, this side quest does serve a purpose to call your attention to it. A lot of the little side quests in Mass Effect 1 do have that kind of element where they exist to flesh something else out, rather than just being there for the sake of having a side quest, and I appreciate that. I mean, it's better than having the same objectives copy-pasted all over the map and just... Okay, yeah, that was a badly disguised loading section. It didn't even finish loading by the time I got to the end of the hallway.
The frame rate kind of took a hit.
Now, the game literally just stopped while it waited to load.
I remember in 2007 when this club was, like, awesome. Now it's not.
Anyway, there's a pretty easy-to-miss little side quest in this place. There's also a really easy-to-find little side quest, because you basically just have to butt in on these people's private conversation, you know, a day in the life of an RPG hero. But there's a second side quest that you can start in this same exact room, and you'll probably overlook it the first time you play, because there's a bunch of gambling terminals up in the second floor of this tavern, bar place, nightclub thing. And the gambling terminals themselves are a gambling game, not a very good one, so you'll probably stop after your first try. In fact, I don't think I've ever heard anyone who actually likes Quasar.
But we gotta get that Dratini.
Well, yeah.
Hey, Commander Shepard, good to see you. I was wondering if you can fetch me some drinks, because I think the people are starting to realize the thing behind me is a wallpaper.
Oh, man. Stuff like that just makes Metal Gear Solid 2 look a lot more impressive. Actually, Metal Gear Solid... well, specifically the tanker chapter, because the plant chapter kind of devolved into empty, very sterile hallways. On purpose.
I love the color orange.
Kojima was doing that thing where the tanker chapter was supposed to be a cock tease, and the plant chapter was, you know, betraying your expectations. There's Super Bunny Hop has a whole big long video about about what exactly Metal Gear Solid 2 was about, and it's very fascinating. I can't say any of it because it kind of twists your brain into a pretzel.
Even Kojima doesn't know what that game is about.
That just kind of sounds like playing Metal Gear Solid in a nutshell.
The Sons of Liberty specifically.
Those last 40 minutes are a mindfuck.
Yeah. And I'm the one who has to record it, so goddamn. I'm not looking forward to that. I am looking forward to that, but I'm also not looking forward to it.
Well, we'll get to Sons of Liberty in approximately 50 years from now, so...
When Andromeda 3 comes out.
Probably, yeah.
Well, it's not a very long game, so I could probably sit down and record it in a single setting if I wanted.
No, Metal Gear Solid isn't a very long game. It's a long cutscene, though. Like, how much... Like, I know that there's hours and hours of codec calls that are mandatory, that, like, go on... That you... Not mandatory. I know that there's a lot of long mandatory cutscenes, which get worse and... Well, I was going to say worse and worse as the series go on, but I think 3 apparently trims it down somewhat from 2.
2 and 4 are the worst.
3 gets the ratio of cutscene to gameplay pretty much exactly right.
Yes.
And 5 just stuffs itself full of sandbox gameplay that offsets the amount of cutscenes it has.
Yeah, but, so I know that there's a lot of long mandatory cutscenes in Metal Gear Solid, but there's also a lot of long, not mandatory codec calls, from what I know, sort of Metal Gear.
Well, those are usually just Easter eggs.
Anyway, this is the quest I was talking about. It's right next to one of the Keepers, which is probably how you'll find it. But if you're not paying attention to the text at the top of the screen, you won't notice that this Quasar machine is labeled as Suspicious Gambling Machine. What exactly about it is suspicious when Shepard looks at it? I don't know. I guess Shepard can see the text prompt. But, yeah, it starts this little sort of following a bunch of map dots thing, except it's a hell of a lot more difficult to follow those dots in Mass Effect 1 because it doesn't have the usual sandbox minimap we're used to these days.
It was the Keeper. Confess!
But basically, you just have to find each hacking terminal in sequence, and then you get to the end and there's a text dialogue. It's a very... Okay, I'm not exaggerating when I say that this side quest has no unique graphics whatsoever. Just voice dialogue. Nothing else. It's the most low-budget thing you'll ever see in any game ever. But I also think it's kind of clever, because it actually does, like many of the other side quests in this game, serve to flesh something out. In this case, it's, well, you'll see when we get to it, probably next part.
I'll wait right here.
I only just noticed now that this dancer's costume has the nipples poking out. Okay, I didn't notice that before. Probably because when I was actually playing, I was paying attention to the dialogue.
This isn't a
Like,
game,
hey
Shepard.
player,
These people
subtitles are down here.
Now you sound like my sister.
Yeah.
Why is everyone so concerned?
My subtitles
I
are
can
up
take care
here.
of myself.
Yeah.
I need to know. I'm not a stripper. I paid to stand around.
You're not a stripper, but you're wearing the same outfit as all the strippers.
Anyway, there's a really cool troll moment in Mass Effect 3 that this quest factors into. Basically, there are a whole bunch of insignificant side quests in Mass Effects 1 and 2 that people were absolutely certain would not come back to any degree in Mass Effect 3. And so, there's a side quest in Mass Effect 3 that will only appear if you've completed a specific checklist of insignificant side quests in the previous two games. And it basically brings a bunch of little characters and plot points from those insignificant side quests and fetch quests all together into one thing that gives you a war asset bonus. And it's really stupid, but it was brilliant, and I salute them for it because it was hilarious. It's the kind of meta humor you'll only get if you've played the entire trilogy, though.
So the Keeper was the gambling addict, right? It's a perfect crime. They would never suspect it, and they wouldn't dare touch him.